Welcome, victims, to the Horr-Gasm podcast, the show where the serial killer isn't coming for you, you're coming for them. I'm Nick, this is my co-host, Ali.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us wherever you are. Take two.
Take two. So that probably obviously won't make sense to you guys, but there was a little accident here. I was hanging out on my couch. I had just uploaded, the reason I had our little USB we use to transfer files is it was on my laptop because I had just uploaded episode 26 and 27, and this is 28, I think, right?
Yep.
Yes. So it was hanging out on there, needed to be, do all of Nick's fancy wizard magic on it to make it listenable. And so it's sitting in my laptop. My laptop's on the back of the couch. And out of nowhere, it just flies off the back of my couch. And the USB cracks into a million pieces. So I tried for an hour to get it to work, and I'm not a computer techie person. There was a lot of pieces, and I just kind of kept pushing things together, and I could get it to light up for a second. I was like, and my computer would recognize it for a second, and then and then it was gone. It was rough. So if it feels weird, we don't 100% remember the movie as much, it's because we watched it about a week and a half ago. And
It was long. It was 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we're going off of memory and Wikipedia story summary.
Yeah.
So, but you've watched this movie more than once, and I've watched it a couple times. So, I don't think it'll be a huge, oh my god, Ichabod. So I don't think it's going to be a huge problem, but I think we'll be, just if it's a little, we don't remember everything, we should be good.
I think so. Yeah. It's kind of funny how I believe in the ghost because I think it wanted to be part of 13 Ghosts.
Yes, and we didn't mention it.
Nope.
So now it needs to be mentioned.
You know what? Yeah. So there you go, Ghost. You got your bit of more of your podcast fame.
Yes. So for Talking Chop, we've already done this once, but again, the movie we watched was 13 Ghosts. So, and there's really cool backstories about all 13. So, we were going to just talk about the different backstories.
And that's what we'll do.
That's what we'll do.
Get into reading here the 13 Ghosts in this nice, well-done movie.
Because they're really interesting. The different, because they all have a different backstory, sort of.
Yeah. And, these 13 Ghosts, you'll have different backstories, how they became ghosts.
Exactly.
Kind of why they got picked.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's and some are violent, some are just there.
Hanging out. Yep. But we were talking about, I remember last time we kind of talked more about it, how, he's sniffing right in my mouth, how we wish that there was a prequel almost, or a TV series about this.
It would work so well.
Right?
13 episodes.
13 episodes, that's a normal season.
Yeah, of each ghost.
Yeah, and that would be really interesting, just to get a backstory of what exactly happened. You could kind of explore the lore of it.
Oh, yeah.
And this is why we don't record in the afternoons, because Ichabod, as the executive producer, is not happy.
Oh.
I think we might have had success for Snoop.
No.
Come look at it.
No. Okay. Well, let's get also into the first.
Let's do it.
The first ghost is known as the firstborn son. A ghost of a little bratty boy named Billy Michaels, who loved to pretend to be a cowboy.
Right.
One day, another little kid challenged Billy to a duel, but Billy's cap gun was no match for the boy's real steel-tipped arrow that Billy's ghost still carries in his forehead.
Do they say the dates that these ghosts were alive?
No.
Okay.
But
some of them, they're talking about the periods, I think.
Yeah, the torso was early 1900s.
Right.
He's the next one.
Because the outfit kind of looks like 60s, 70s almost.
Yeah, almost even 40s, what's that old show? The guy played the Andy Griffith Show.
Yes,
that kind of era. Where,
right.
Boys are playing cowboys and Indians and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it reminded me of sort of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, that, the one kid, Mike, that's obsessed with TV. Kind of like what he wears, sort of, in some of the scenes. Which is, I don't know, yeah, it's just kind of interesting. And he looks so creepy with the arrow still in his head walking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just creepy.
Yes. And he's one that kind of lurks. Like he's
not violent, but he wants to play and
exactly.
He just wants to be around.
Yes.
So.
Right.
And so the second ghost is the torso.
Yes.
Jimmy the Gambler Gambino was a gambler in the early 1900s who caught the attention of the mafia, of course.
Mm-hmm.
After he lost a boxing bet and didn't have the money to pay up, the mafia cut him into pieces and wrapped him in cellophane, dumping his remains in the ocean.
Yeah, and this one's interesting because he's literally just a torso and like arms, and he just kind of
he just kind of
stumps along.
Yeah, kind of like lifts and stumbles.
Yeah, like he has like a little bit of neck almost, like just a touch of neck, like, but he's headless and bottomless, so he's like there's not much, but it's just we only see him like a little bit, like just a touch when he's like crawling towards one of the characters.
It really kind of brings out the gore.
Yes.
And again, like we claim and we love the practical effects.
Oh.
They actually had a guy who I think he was an amputee.
Sure.
For the role.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's really great because then, it just adds to the realism of it. That's one of the things I loved about American Horror Story as well. Is for the American Horror Story Freak Show, they had actual, like, obviously not all of them, but they had actual, like, people with disabilities in it, and they did an amazing job. And one of, like, one of the main characters that they used for, like, the first 3 or 4 seasons has Down syndrome, and she does an amazing job. She's my favorite character from the first season, and it's just nice to, I don't know, incorporate people with disabilities into movies, because we need more, like, people out there.
Oh, I think of the one with Johnny Knoxville.
Yes. Oh my gosh, The Ringer.
The Ringer.
Before
it came out,
love that
it got so much flack. They're like, they're making fun of handicapped people and people with disabilities. This movie is going to be terrible. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot.
Because Johnny Knoxville,
And it was such a positive disabilities, handicapped movie. Like, they start.
Yes.
Some acted with, who some of the actors did not have disabilities, but pretend they did. Others did have disabilities, and then again, they did such a great job.
So good. I
love the movie.
It's me too. I love it. I love the message it kind of portrays.
It does.
And
it does the exact opposite. You think it's going to run down those and make fun. It does the exact opposite. It lifts them up.
Absolutely.
And it shows that these guys and women are stars, and they are awesome.
Yes, exactly. I agree 100%.
So the third ghost, the bound woman. Susan LeGros was the richest girl in town and was very popular. Her one flaw was the way she toyed with boys and men. During her senior prom night, she was killed by a jilted ex named Chet Walters, a star quarterback, after catching her cheating with another guy.
Oh, the name Chet just sounds like somebody who would kill somebody.
Yeah.
Star quarterback. So, and she kind of looked like, again, like sort of like an 80s almost, right? Like with her hair
70s,
and everything.
Yeah, 70s, 80s.
Definitely.
All kind of tied up. And
yes. And she doesn't do anything but float around either.
Well, she does lure the boy, the son downstairs.
Yes.
She's kind of not so much mean or
but that would go with
violent.
The luring boys and men, right? That's probably her role to play in this whole thing.
Just a slut. The fourth ghost was the wilted lover. Jean Kritikos, which we'll find out is the main character's wife, was a happy, devoted wife and mother. She died as a result of fire injuries at St. Luke's Hospital half a year before the events of the film.
Right.
And this fire is questionable storage.
Yeah, and
we'll get into that later on.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so she's the only one that's actually like good in quotations, would you say, or?
Yes and no. Like, she's the one who has the most family's best interest at heart.
Right.
The other one's like, we don't care. We're just here. We're ghosts. Whatever.
So do you think if it was a different family, she would be just more hanging in the bleachers, just like whatever?
She would be given like warnings, but she wouldn't actively try and tell them, hey, get out.
Right.
Hey, don't go downstairs.
Interesting.
The fifth ghost, as we can count here, the Torn Prince. Royce Clayton was a gifted and famous teenage baseball player in the 1940s and 50s who caught the eye of colleges around the USA.
Right.
Thanks to his challenger, a greaser who set him up, Royce died in an accident caused by cut brake lines.
Yes.
So that's kind of like the old greaser races around, Suicide Bluffs or something like that.
Sure, yeah. It reminds me of Grease, basically,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's got this.
Is that the guy with the baseball bat?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Kind of got the greaser jacket.
Yes,
and,
yeah, he's got like the Letterman jacket.
Yeah. Leather jacket, yeah.
Yeah.
The sixth was the Angry Princess. And we like this
She's
one.
my favorite. Yeah. I love her, yeah.
Dana Newman was a beautiful but abused lady who lived in the later 1900s. She had plastic surgeries to alter her perceived flaws, and after a botched experiment that mutilated her eye, she brutally killed herself in a bathtub at the clinic.
Yes.
This is the one that's always nude.
Yes.
But in our previous recording, you kind of think that she was wearing some prosthetics, like some
absolutely, yeah,
something to cover her breasts and other areas.
It's just because of the cuts, how they're placed on her body. Yeah. It's if they did, like, obviously the gashes aren't real, but like I was just wondering if they had like a rubber piece that they put over top of her, because I just would find it hard to stick the slash marks on like her nipples and stuff. Yeah. I just, how they do it. I mean, again, I'm not a special effects artist or anything, so I'm sure it could probably be possible.
They could have also put pasties on,
right,
and put the prosthetics over top.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and then just reconstructed a nipple, sort of. Yeah, that would make sense too. Yeah, that's just really well done. Her prosthetics or whatever special effects they did to her were so good.
It was really well
and
done.
While she is completely naked, we never get like a full frontal. Yeah. We get like topless shots and then
some booty.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of far away full frontal, but you don't see much at all. Right. You really don't.
Right. And so she was obviously wearing something to protect her dignity.
Yeah. And also every ghost scene, it's almost like in flashes. You don't see a good solid shot.
Yes.
They always kind of phase in and out, which kind of goes again with the movie where you gotta wear the glasses to see the ghosts.
Yes.
So.
Yes, exactly.
Number 7? I think number 7. The Pilgrimess. Isabella Smith came to North America as a colonist in order to find a new life after being an orphan in England. The tight-knit community ostracized and ignored her and used her as a scapegoat, being accused of witchcraft when crops and animals mysteriously died. She denied such accusations, but she was trapped in a burning barn, but managed to escape unharmed. That sealed her fate, and she died of starvation after being condemned to the pillory.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's that old adage, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And that's basically what I've listened to so many podcasts on the Salem witch trials. And it's basically, if you're a witch and they put you to this test and you survive, then you're a witch because you survived. But if you die, then oops, guess you're innocent. Darn.
And if you weigh less than duck.
Yes.
She's a witch.
She's a witch. Oh, I love Monty Python.
Love Monty Python.
So good.
Number 8, The Great Child.
Yes.
Harold Shelbourne was a special needs man who never outgrew diapers and had to be spoon-fed even as a fully grown adult. Mm-hmm. He often made baby sounds. After being mocked, teased, and tormented relentlessly all his life, he caused a massacre at the old freak show where he and his mother, Margaret Shelbourne, lived.
Yes.
Some of the freaks had kidnapped and killed his mother as a joke one night. Mm-hmm. The circus owner, Jimbo, had Harold mutilated beyond recognition. So.
Yeah, but in his death, he's one of the ones where in his death he doesn't really show that he's like how he was killed.
Yeah.
Like some of them do, and he and his mom aren't really one of them, where they look like how they were in life.
I think that's kind of how they are.
Right.
She's always feeding him baby food.
Exactly.
And he's just always eating so much, he always got like a bit of vomit around him, but he doesn't care. He's still eating some baby food.
Yay!
And number 8, The Dire Mother.
Yes.
Margaret Shelbourne, Harold's mother, was a shy little lady, standing 3 feet tall. She never could stand up for herself. At the freak show where she lived, she was raped by the Tall Man, another circus freak, and gave birth to her illegitimate son, Harold, whom she loved more than life itself. She smothered and spoiled him from infancy and never stopped as he grew. This is the main reason for Harold's mental handicap. It was abused to the point where Harold killed almost the entire circus after Margaret died. So these two are always together.
Right.
Always.
Even in death, they still hang out. So that's interesting. Yeah, these were ones that didn't really go after the main characters either. They just kind of They did some brooding, some standing and creeping around, but they didn't actually attack anybody.
No.
Which, you'd think that maybe, you know, with his torment and everything, he'd still be, like, mad, and you'd think he might still attack, but he doesn't, which is nice, but, yeah. So after the mother...
is the hammer.
Yes.
Number 10.
Yes. He's super cool, too. I love this one.
The more meaner ones.
Yes.
A happy and honest family man and blacksmith, George Markley was falsely accused of stealing by a higher-up named Nathan and threatened the exile from their old western town. Mm-hmm. George refused to leave, and his family was lynched by Nathan and his band of thugs while walking home from the town market one day.
Right.
Seeking justice in the corrupt town, George took his blacksmith's hammer and killed those responsible. But the townsfolk chained him to a tree and drove railroad spikes into his body. His left hand was cut off, and his hammer was crudely attached to it.
Oof.
This is like a big, bulked-up black guy with a hammer for a fist, and he's got railroad spikes on him, which he pulls out.
Yes.
He pulls them out.
And tries to attack people with them. It is super cool.
I like this guy. He's physically intimidating. He looks mean as hell.
He's one of the scarier looking ghosts, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets scarier.
It does.
Number 11, the Jackal.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Born to a prostitute in 1887, Ryan Kuhn developed a sick appetite for women, attacking and raping strays and prostitutes in the night. He voluntarily went to Borehamwood Wood Institute for treatment to cure this problem. But the medical practices made him much worse, causing him to go completely insane after years of solitary confinement, having his head locked in a cage after breaking out of a straitjacket, and developing a hatred of humanity. When the asylum burst into flames, he chose to stay behind and perish in the fire.
Yes.
This guy is seen as one of the most
definitely one of the most violent.
Dangerous, violent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets most of, I would say, of all the ghosts, he gets the most violent. Yeah. Definitely.
And he's seen as the most
he's
not that dangerous, but just the most
he does the most damage to the victims for sure.
Yeah.
He follows them, and he's got these long gross nails and scratches the shit out of everybody. Yeah. He gets the main character, he gets his daughter, whose name I can't remember. Yes. Yep. Ooh. And it's crazy, yeah. And he's super creepy he still has the cage over his head and everything. And this long, scary hair, and he just kind of runs around screaming. And
it's almost like, it is like the cage in the front has been bent out. Yes. So he's tried to break out of his cage, but he couldn't get over his head, but he bent the bars in front of him out so he can see better.
Absolutely. Ugh.
And number 12, the Juggernaut. Mm-hmm. Horace Breaker Mahoney was born very disfigured and was an outcast his entire life. Mm-hmm. His mother abandoned him at a tender age, and his dad put him to work in the junkyard, using his unusual strength to crush cars. After his dad died, Horace went insane. He would take motorists and hitchhikers, tear them apart with his bare hands, and feed their remains to his dogs.
Cute.
Lucky dogs. After several of these murders, he was arrested. A SWAT team shot and killed him when he broke free of his handcuffs. So this guy is a killer. So his kill count numbered in the 40s.
Jesus.
And those is just before he was killed. After, whoever came to the junkyard, he would kill as well. So he was bad.
Yeah, because they say in the first scene of the movie, the cute little guy from Scooby-Doo, Matthew Lillard or whatever, he says, I thought he only killed 6 people or something. He's like, yeah, when he was alive. But did you ever watch Love, Death, Robots on Netflix?
Yes.
This reminds me of that junkyard monster one, the short one, where it's the old hillbilly guy that hangs out and the police or something come to talk to him, and then he's talking about his pet. And it's this huge, crazy, it's like a worm thing almost. Do you remember that? Yeah, that was one of them. And this guy kind of reminded me almost of that, where he's got obviously the actual thing is killing it, not him. But yeah, just with the junkyard thing, it's kind of cool, for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, so those are the 12 ghosts, and the 13th ghost, we don't know yet.
We'll find out.
It's a mystery.
We'll find out when we go through the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
And hey, let's do that right now.
Let's do it. All right, so for obviously you guys already know this, but we watched 13 Ghosts this week. It was a 2001 movie, and it was directed by Steve Beck and written by Bob White and Neil Marshall Stevens.
Yeah, and this is a remake.
It's a remake.
There was an old original one, 1960.
Yep.
And this movie was pretty different because it brought in. This is kind of the same time, if not before, 3D glasses.
Yes.
Illusiono.
Hey,
where
glasses? Sorry, it's a short thing.
And this was for basically, you come into the theater to watch the movie, and you have a choice. Are you going to be brave to watch a movie, or be a little squeamish or scared?
Right.
So the brave audience members could watch the film and see the ghosts with the glasses.
Awesome.
Where the more apprehensive viewers could opt out of the horror and watch without the stress of having to see the ghosts.
That's crazy, but this, for the 1960s, this would be scary.
Yeah,
okay?
Like they just something like this today would be so cool.
Yeah.
Of course, most people would want to watch them with the glasses, but still.
Right.
It's so cool because it was dubbed Illusiono, and the film elements of the actors and the sets, everything except the ghosts, had a blue filter applied.
Right.
While the ghost element had a red filter.
Cool.
And superimposed over the frame. You have audience received viewers with red and blue cellophane filters, like early 3D glasses.
Right.
Where one is red, other is blue. And the Illusiono viewer required people to look through a single color with both eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing to look through the red filter intensified the images of the ghosts, while the blue filter removed them. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's definitely neat.
I think that would have been really something nowadays would work.
Yeah.
It'd be a gimmick.
Absolutely.
And the 3D gimmick is it's still going strong, but where can you go from there?
Right.
Let's go back to Illusiono.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool, especially with ghost movies or something like that.
Yeah, I think that movies definitely are going to keep evolving. And, like, honestly, 3D has never been my thing. And I think part of that reason is because it was so cheesy before. Like, when I think of 3D, like, in Disneyland, they used to have, like, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and, like, Captain EO, like the old Michael Jackson one. That was one of my favorite Disney rides ever that they shut down a few years ago. That made me super sad. But, like, that is more what I think of with 3D is, like, things, like, popping out at you, or, like, Friday the 13th 3D.
Okay. Yeah.
Where they, like, do the ping pong right at the camera, sort of. And I think Avatar wasn't my favorite movie ever. But when I saw that, and how they used the 3D to add depth and, like, meatiness to the movie, I was like, holy shit, this is what 3D should be. Avatar
was the only movie who's done it right.
Yeah,
3D.
I agree.
I really believe that, because I saw it in theater,
I know.
At least 3 times.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when he's following, I forget her name.
Yeah.
And he's going through the world in the jungle, and it starts to basically open up.
Yes.
And the colors, everything just kind of hits you. You're like,
yes,
holy crap. This is absolutely gorgeous.
Right? And how I knew that it was so well was that the story and, like, the movie itself, I was not a fan of Avatar.
Space Pocahontas.
But the effects, I couldn't take my eyes away.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to keep watching just to see them be in this world. Like, it was, and that's, like, a sign that they did something right.
Yeah. Oh,
definitely. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know where it could go from here, but I think this movie could definitely incorporate something like that, where even there's, you know, like, I have nothing to do with movies, so I have no idea, but if they could incorporate that, like, you know, you can watch the movie normally, but But if you watch it with these special glasses, yeah, you could see like
extra.
Yeah, jump scares or something creepy. You know, the ghost following the main characters around or something. Right?
All like little hidden parts.
Or even if they make that a TV series and then you have the 3D glasses, then you could see more, see different things or something like that. Yeah, I definitely think that there's room to incorporate something like that into
I'm sure
movies.
there has to be.
Yeah.
There has to be.
There has to be.
Not even just do the whole red and blue glasses, but
absolutely.
have like the clear glasses, but it would pick up what's hidden on the screen. It also sounds incredibly expensive.
Yeah, right.
But whatever.
Yes.
So, where did you hear about this movie first, Lana?
I remember when I must have been around when it came out, walking through the mall, and they had the movie posters, and they just have this, like, it's like a bunch of different boxes almost, and it's like a face it makes, and it's all red, and it looked super scary. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to 100% avoid this movie. And then you and I watched it when we first moved into the house, and it was, I remember just you being like, oh yeah, you know, you're going to like this movie. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And then we watched it, I was like, yeah, that was good. That was definitely good. Yeah. So I'm glad so I've actually watched this a few times now, so that's nice. And how about you? Because you were more into horror movies at this point.
I never saw it in theaters, but I know when it came to rent, I jumped all over it because, this looks like a good movie.
Yeah, it looks creepy.
It was. I mean, it still kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing trailers for it, and I'm like, this looks really good. Oh, it's got Matthew Lillard. Cool. And it's got Shannon Elizabeth?
Yep.
Yeah, and she was naked in American Pie. Even better.
She sure was.
And yeah, I saw it, I rented it. I'm like, this is a good movie. I'll have to buy it someday. And I did.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's one of those, like, you know, you get a normal, you know, ghost movie, but it just kind of keeps twisting and turning. And I really appreciate that. How it's just, like, even at the end, you still don't really know what's going on until the very, very end. Like, they keep, you know, throwing in betrayal and different things happening and, what's really going on here? Yeah. And, right up until the very end, you don't really know what's happening. And I really appreciate that with movies, you know?
You gotta have at least a bit of a twist to make it interesting and you can't make it too predictable.
Yes, because horror movies, unfortunately, fall into tropes so often that they're so often predictable. And it's nice to have one where right at the end you're like, no way! And then something happens, you're like, no way! And then this person...
so well. Scream did such a good job at that.
Which Matthew Lillard was also in.
Yes!
Yay! So, he's got a good... I wish he'd do more horror movies.
I do too.
But he doesn't really act so much anymore and mostly just does voice acting, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's almost like, typecast as Shaggy.
Which, like, if that's your gravy train for the rest of your life, Scooby-Doo is never going to go out of style. I dare somebody to fight me on that.
True.
Because people will always love Scooby-Doo. And they're just coming out, like, Velma and Daphne just got released on Netflix. So there's a whole new, and I think it's a kid's show. I'm actually not 100% sure. I haven't watched it yet.
I think it's a teeny
show. Like a teeny, and so,
there's a new movie coming out about when they first meet Scooby-Doo.
Yes, yep. So it's, I don't think it's ever going to go out of style. So I think he can just ride that for the rest of his life until his voice changes or, you know, he's too old to do it. So.
Well, they'll have Scooby-Doo and the old folks home.
But I mean, the girl voicing Lisa Simpson is still doing it. And she's been doing it for what, like 30 years? So.
Yeah, but she can't act, so she can only do voiceovers.
Which, if you want proof of that, feel free to go back and listen to our review of Maximum Overdrive, where we talk explicitly about how poor her acting is.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess since we're talking about the characters, we should get into the characters.
I think so. So we'll start off with the lead actor, Tony Shalhoub.
Yes.
Yeah. He's his last name. He plays Arthur Criticos.
Yes.
And he's also known from Monk as Monk.
Yes.
He's got a good career.
He's had a great career, yeah.
Embeth Divitis, again, weird last names, as Kleena or Tasia. Matthew Lillard, our favorite, as Dennis Rafkin.
Woohoo.
Shannon Elizabeth as Kathy Criticos, who keeps most of her clothes on in this movie.
Yep.
Alec Roberts as Bobby Criticos, as a young boy.
Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot the kid was
He's an annoying character.
He's so annoying. Ugh. Kids in horror movies either get killed or are annoying or... No, I think that's about it.
No.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I've not made it silent that I hate kids. And it's just, when I see a kid in a horror movie, I'm like, gah. But...
Ra Digga as Maggie Bess.
Mm-hmm.
F. Matthew Abraham as Cyrus Criticos.
Yes, Cyrus, the rich uncle.
Yeah. And J.R. Bourne as Ben Moss.
Ben Moss, yes, the lawyer dude.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
And then you got other people playing the ghosts, but they didn't really.
Yeah, they're just focus on the main characters.
Yep.
Yeah. So this movie opens in the junkyard, which we've already kind of talked about in our little talking chop there with the ghosts. So Cyrus and Matthew Lillard's character kind of are talking. They're there to obviously capture this ghost, the junkyard dude.
Well, we find out that Matthew, he's a psychic. He can basically communicate. Well, communicate's a bad term, but he can
kind of see them.
Feel them, and he also has a bit of he can see a bit of the future.
Right.
And every time he does a connection, if he touches someone, he'll also a bit of it's kind of like Christopher Walken's character movie Prophecy.
Okay.
Where if he touches someone, he can see the future when they're going to die. And whenever he does this effect, he killer migraines. It just sucks the life out of poor Matthew there, and he's been kind of contracted on by Cyrus to help collect these ghosts.
Yes, he wants to collect the ghosts, and this is the last one. It's the 12th ghost, so they're kind of talking about it, and they're talking about his pay and whatnot. And one of Cyrus's lunkies kind of comes up, and he's like, "Oh, blah blah blah, 13 ghosts." And Matthew Lillard's like, 13? I thought we were 12. I thought this was it. And Cyrus is like, "Oh, we'll talk about it after. Don't worry. Just don't worry. We're just going to get this one, and then we'll talk." And Matthew Lillard is like, "Ugh, okay, fine, whatever." So he touches the ground, I think, and he can kind of see...
He knows he's here.
Yes.
In the junkyard.
And he can kind of see him, like, swooping around a little bit, can't he? And like...
No, not this guy.
Not this guy?
This field.
Sure.
And so Cyrus brings up the truck full of blood to lure him out.
Yes.
And all his guys are supposed to kind of, I don't know, they have guns for some reason. They're going to shoot the ghost.
Yeah.
They all get attacked.
Yes.
The Juggernaut, he's like, "You know what, get the hell out. I'm going to kill you all." And he does. He kills a lot of them.
Yes.
Including Cyrus. He gets killed.
Yes.
And there's also, just before all this started off happening, two people who are trying to free the ghosts show up.
Yes. They're like the PETA of ghost schools.
The PETA. One is Kalina.
Yes.
And her boyfriend guy who's like, "Stop it," and he gets killed.
Right.
But they manage to trap the ghost.
Yeah.
After using one of the guys as a lure, as bait, in this big box.
Yeah, it's like a glass with like kind of reinforced with metal on the corners and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. It's covered with spells and entrapment spells and all that.
Yep.
And basically, they catch the Juggernaut.
Yep.
But Cyrus dies, and poor
and
Matthew's character,
womp womp.
Dennis, he's kind of like, "Who's gonna pay me now?"
Yes. So and then we get the opening credit sort of sequence, and we flip to Arthur and his family, and we
get a bit of a montage of how everything's all happy and good. All of a sudden, there's a fire, and his wife dies.
Yes.
And now he's spending all his money trying to kind of
figure out what happened.
Find what happened and get some compensation and closure.
Yes.
But it's tough on
the kids.
Him, especially tough on, he's been tough on his kids.
Yes.
Had to hire a babysitter because he's so busy doing this stuff.
Right.
And suddenly one day, Mr. Lawyer, Ben Moss, shows up. It's like, "Hey, your uncle passed away."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Cyrus, I don't remember him very well."
Yeah, I met him like once as a kid or something.
And he's like, "Yeah, well, you got left everything in his possession, which is a house and everything inside."
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, sweet, we can maybe sell the house and keep going with this."
Mm-hmm.
And his daughter's like, no, we have a house now, not this crappy little condo we're living in.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, can we check it out?" And And it's like, okay, we'll come over and we'll do the paperwork. And okay.
Yeah, I'm heading there after work, so
yeah.
drive on down to wherever this is, and we can, talk about it there, sign the papers, and you guys can do whatever.
Yeah, so we go there to go to the nice house, and it's this giant glass-covered house. Like, there's windows. The whole thing's a window.
Right.
No privacy.
Yeah.
and as we get there, we see Dennis wandering around. He's dressed up. He's a power guy.
Yeah.
He's got there's a bunch of power out, and he has to go check the fuse box and the breakers. He has to get in there and get out. And so they get inside.
Yes.
Using like a key that was left to Arthur, and use it to open up. It kind of starts like a mechanism.
Yes, there's whirring and whatnot.
It sounds like a big clock.
Yes, exactly. That's a good description. It's like a clock noises when you're like tuning it or whatever. Yeah.
So they go inside, and Dennis is like, "Where's the basement?" It's like, "Oh, it's that way." Okay, great. And he goes down there, and while he's down there trying to figure out, where's my money and what have you been doing, Cyrus.
Yeah.
Arthur and the lawyer are kind of discussing over everything,
yes.
And the kids, Arthur's kids, and then the babysitter stay here. Don't move, don't touch anything, stay here.
Yep.
As soon as he leaves, they go everywhere.
Yes, they start exploring because why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
this is a huge, crazy, nuts house with a bunch of valuables and stuff in it. So why wouldn't you explore?
Yeah. And as they're all snooping around, Dennis, he's in the basement and he sees everything's got Latin on all the windows and glass. It's all protection spells. Like, what are you doing here? And he kind of gets hit by the by his psychic powers.
Yes.
And he realizes there's a bunch of ghosts in here. I need to get out.
Yes, and he is overwhelmed with the amount of bad juju going on.
And so during this, he goes and tells Arthur, get the hell out of here. And Arthur's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Where's my kids? So he's looking for his kids. Also, during this time when Arthur's talking to Dennis, the lawyer disappears.
Yes.
He sneaks downstairs to grab the money because he's been pretty much promised, get them here, here's the money. He grabs the bag up.
Yes.
Flips a switch because he's a dumb lawyer.
Yep.
And everything starts working.
Yes.
Things start moving. There's this center floor that spins with all these letters, and it's all Latin.
Yep.
And he doesn't realize what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Laura tries to make a quick break for it, and one of the doors, and this is, I think...
the princess kind of comes and starts kind of walking towards him.
Oh, no, he gets sliced first.
Isn't it?
Because the wall glass slides down, cuts him, bisects him.
Yes.
And then she kind of walks ahead. She's like, oh, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm free.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes up, and she goes and hangs out with Shannon Elizabeth's character in the bathroom, because she's loving this house. She's like, oh, this is great. I love the beds. It's got a nice bathroom. And she kind of runs the water in the tub, and she's looking in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And you can see the princess behind her, and then she's in the tub full of blood.
Yes.
How she killed herself.
Yeah, there's like glasses sitting on like a little ledge sort of in this bathroom. And so the camera, and I love how they do this, is like the bathroom looks totally normal. Shannon Elizabeth's just like hanging out and like checking her hair and whatever. And then the camera like moves into the glasses to the lenses. And when the camera moves into the lens, then we see like blood all over the bathroom, and there's like help written on the floor, isn't there?
So I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
Her death, her suicide note was, I'm sorry.
Yes, and we see the princess, and she's fixing her hair too, and kind of watching Shannon Elizabeth. And then she walks over to the tub and starts filling it, and just kind of touching the water, and the princess is in the tub, and she like pulls a knife to stab her, and then we hear Arthur scream like, "Hey!" or whatever.
Where's your
brother?
She's like, I don't know. And then she's with the babysitter, and she shows up. I lost him.
Yeah.
So
he was here like a minute ago, and they were playing in a room with a bunch of models and comic books and whatnot, and they were chasing each other around, Bobby and the babysitter, and then he just kind of got off because he has like a scooter, doesn't he, or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those old like razor scooters, all that.
Right.
It was really popular back in the 2000s.
They were. We had one.
Oh, I didn't.
Killer on the angles, but they were really fun.
Yeah. So he wanders downstairs, and you can hear. I think it was the spoiled.
Yeah.
The one. Yeah.
Right.
She's trying to lure him down.
Yeah.
And at the same time, his mom, who's the fourth ghost, is saying, go away, Bobby.
Yeah.
Stay upstairs, don't come down, it's dangerous. He's like, whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't know it's his mom.
He doesn't care. He also has like a little recorder with him. And he goes down there and he also finds the glasses, puts them on, and he sees the torso.
Yes.
And the little boy. And he freaks out and kind of falls over and gone.
Yes, exactly.
And meanwhile, they're trying to also, Arthur, Dennis, everyone else are trying to find the son.
Right.
And also they find out, oh, hey, the front door is closed and locked. We can't get out.
Yes.
And Dennis is like, well, I'm done. I'm just going to wait here until this is over because there's ghosts down there. Arthur's not believing him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, help me.
Yes.
We're going downstairs. We're going to go find him. And Dennis is like, don't go down there. I just told you there's ghosts. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You owed money? I will give you money. Help me find my son. And Dennis is like, okay.
There's one funny part when he's initially confronting Arthur and the lawyer where he's like, well, I used to work with Cyrus. He's like, well, what did you do? Well, we hunted ghosts. And they're like, goats?
Yeah, that's right.
That's like one of my favorite parts where he's like, no, not goats, ghosts. I just imagine Cyrus and Matthew Lillard running around the countryside like hunting goats. I would watch that movie too, let's be honest.
And every ghost has the same affliction as the ghosts. Got the juggernaut, the jackal goat.
This goat with big fake boobs.
Oh, that'd be great.
Right. Sorry, I just had to throw that in because it's one of my favorite parts of this movie, and I just imagine them hunting goats.
Yeah.
But so Dennis agrees to help them and go down to the basement and try to find Bobby. So off we go.
Yeah, and while they're down there, they split up, which is again
first thing they do is split up. Yeah.
So Arthur's like, all right, I'll take my daughter.
Yeah.
Dennis, you go with Nanny.
Yeah.
Let's go do our thing.
Yes.
And so meanwhile, Maggie. Was it Maggie? Yeah, Maggie.
Yeah.
The babysitter.
Yes.
Yeah. She's asking Dennis, what about these ghosts? Explain.
Right.
And
yeah. And so
and he's like, well,
put these on.
Yeah, see for yourself. And he shows her the guy with the baseball bat. And smashes against the window. And
and he's like, they always do that.
Yeah.
Always wait until you least expect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, at the same time, Arthur's like, I can't believe this ghost talk. It's find her sweet brother and get out of here.
Yeah.
And the daughter, she puts her glasses on, and the jackal attacks her.
Yes. And this is such a cool shot where the jackal's pulling her across the hallway, and Arthur can't see what's happening, so all he sees is her body like being pulled across the hallway and then up against the wall, and the jackal's like ripping at her and ripping her shirt and her bra and her sweater.
Kathy, yeah.
Yes. And so Arthur just starts freaking out and tries to pull her back, and then all of a sudden Kalina drops down from the roof and throws like a flare, and it scares the jackal, and the jackal runs off.
Yeah.
And they kind of coddle her, and she's freaking out, obviously.
Yeah, she gets sliced up really good.
Yes.
And as we're watching, as this movie progresses, the floor keeps there's like sections, each starts spinning. Each time it spins, a new cage opens up.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not all at once. They're one by one being opened up.
Yes.
Methodically.
The ghosts, yeah. So, which is an interesting way of doing it, sort of. As, it's not just, bam, 13 ghosts all at once, because who would stay in the house for that, right?
Yeah.
So, that's interesting. Mm-hmm.
So Kalina shows up, she saves them.
Yeah.
And after that, though, because they start following her.
Yes.
And Kathy disappears.
Exactly.
Where'd Kathy go? We don't know.
Yeah.
And so they all meet up. All the adults meet up. Then we got Arthur, Kathy, and everyone else.
Yes, exactly.
And Kalina kind of reinforces Dennis, saying that there's 12 ghosts in here. They're all trying to... Well, they're captured.
Exactly.
And this is Cyrus' idea to create the devil machine or something.
Yes, this like a device.
The whole thing it was created years and years and years, like thousands of years ago. And Cyrus built it.
Yep.
And he has to use 12 ghosts and all that to make it work.
Yes.
And there's a 13th ghost.
Yes.
And that goes when he's released or happens, which she's told when Arthur sacrificed himself for...
it has to be a willing sacrifice.
It'll basically shut everything down.
Yeah.
So, basically, Arthur's like, well, okay, time to go do some sacrificing.
Yeah. I'm ready to sacrifice for my family. Because now we figure out that they've kidnapped, I guess, those 2 kids. The ghosts have the 2 kids, and yeah, he's going to have to sacrifice himself to get them back.
And so they got some time yet, because she's trying to figure out how to shut her down before everything's all done.
Yeah. So, and she has a bunch of dynamite, so just in case something doesn't happen, then the dynamite will go off. Yeah.
She was setting that up.
Exactly.
And earlier, when Dennis was roaming around the basement, he saw a vision of his death by the Juggernaut. He's like, oh, that's not good. And so while she's doing that, Arthur and Dennis, they grab a piece of the protective glass, because it's got all the protective enchantment on it.
Yep.
They take it down to the basement to go find the kids.
Yes.
And as they're going through, they realize the Hammer and Juggernaut have been released.
Yes.
And
the 2 kind of almost worst ones are now on the loose.
Yeah. So Dennis knows, okay, we're in trouble.
Yes.
He kind of traps Arthur in the corner with the glass, and basically he does like the sacrifice. He's like, kill me and all that. He basically gets his hand smashed, crushed by the hammers.
Yes.
Hammer, and he gets bent in half in the corner by the Juggernaut.
Yes.
So he's dead.
So, yeah. Poor Matthew Lillard. R.I.P.
And Arthur he gets out, and he's like, he's pretty upset by now. He's like, this is just the worst day ever.
Yeah, he's like losing it, because he actually, started to like Dennis.
Yeah.
And, he was really helping him because he was a freaking psychic. Yeah. So.
And he sees Cyrus. Cyrus kind of shows up. He's like,
ah.
Hey, and then knocks him out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we find out that Cyrus and Kalina were in cahoots.
Oh, no.
They were...
Not cahoots.
They were in the cahoots. She killed her current boyfriend, or his boyfriend, to get at his protective spells.
Right.
And, so they did that. And she's like, well, I did what you said. I got Arthur in his head that he has to sacrifice himself for his children to stop this. When in reality, his sacrifice is going to basically fully activate
the machine. Yeah.
Because there's a certain song he plays which draws all the ghosts to the center of the machine.
Right.
And they each have a certain spot.
Which is the moving sort of device we saw previously.
Yeah. And their power kind of opens like a portal to see like the future, to have infinite power.
Yes.
See past, present, future, and just have control over everything. And that's what Cyrus wants. He wants control. He's a control freak.
Yeah. So him and Kalina are like, she's like, oh, I did everything you asked, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Yeah, so they go upstairs, and just before, Cyrus goes first, and after him is Kalina, he throws a switch, and she gets crushed.
Yes.
By a wall.
And this is one of the only scenes that they used, I guess, special effects in CGI. And it is rough. It is comical almost how they do it. It's unfortunate. I wish, they almost just had her being smushed, and then at the end, like, just, put a body bag in there and kind of, like, smushed it for real, sort of,
Yeah.
How they, almost like a watermelon explodes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that there's better ways they could have done this other than, like...
It was very, very not graphic. Just, like, this kind of squished her. And nothing came out, no blood.
She almost, like blew up almost kind of like a balloon. Like, you can see that they just compressed her image. It's too bad that they had to do that. But, whatever. I mean, for it's one. They get, they get a pass. It's just once. So,
it is what it is.
Yes.
So, Arthur got knocked out. He wakes up, and he goes to the center where all the spinning discs are.
Yes.
And his kids are stuck in the middle.
Yeah, they're just like, they're kind of, basically stuck. Like, all the things are moving sort of like blades almost.
Yeah.
And so they can't move.
Yeah. And earlier, the babysitter, she kind of caught on to Kalina, and she got knocked out by her in the control room. So that's where the babysitter is at the time. She's sleeping. Yeah. She's knocked out. So
nobody's doing very good right now.
So Arthur's ready to kind of make the jump And Cyrus shows up. He's like, "Yep, do it. I shouldn't. I picked your pathetic family for this reason."
Yep.
And it's very insinuated that Cyrus started the fire.
Yes.
Cyrus is the one that killed Arthur's wife
Yeah.
to get the ghost.
Exactly.
And
we see Cyrus has like a big gash on his neck, so we're assuming he's dead. He's just a ghost hanging around. Because we see him creeping a little bit throughout the movie, but we just assume he's like a ghost, right? Yeah.
Why he kept that on, I think just to make him look like, because he wanted to kind of make the assumption that he's a ghost.
Right, so that's what I'm thinking. And then if he just happened upon these people while they're, going through the whole, whatever, ghosty thing while they're being released, I think it's sort of to keep his identity like, oh, we're seeing ghosts, so he's just a ghost.
Yeah.
So just in case he was found out, even though it's his house, he knows all the hidey holes. But just in case, I think. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And so Arthur kind of realizes too, you're not a ghost. You're a dick.
Yeah.
And he fights him. But
yes.
Arthur Cyrus, he pulls a little sword out of his cane and it's like, you dumbass. Jump in, go kill yourself, save your kids, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And just before he can do that, Maggie wakes up.
Yeah.
And she starts throwing switches, breaking shit. She starts wrecking everything.
Yes.
And the song stops.
Yes.
And the ghosts, who were all kind of in a circle, they're all doing their ghostly power thing, they go after Cyrus. All of them. They all team up, they lift him up, and they basically throw him into the spinning blade discs.
Yes.
Just dicing him right up.
He gets chopped into a bajillion pieces, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Cyrus is now dead.
Like, really dead now.
And the machine's starting to break, so it kind of goes from spinning all over to stop. Spinning all over, stop.
Yeah.
And Arthur's like, all right, to make a jump, I'm going to time it out, because he's a math teacher. And he dies, he makes a jump, he's with his kids, as basically everything just breaks and falls apart.
Yep. And so the whole house kind of explodes.
And most of the glass shatters. And all the ghosts are basically free to go.
Yeah, walk away and
back to their little haunts. And
Matthew Lillard's character pops back up as a ghost, and they have a little chat about like everything that just happened, I guess.
Yeah, before this, he kind of tells Dennis, they need you, Arthur. Your kids need you. So go to them. Go be a hero.
Yep. And
he does.
Yeah. So they, all the ghosts leave except Jean. She sticks around, and they have a little chat. He's, she loses her hospital form, I guess, sort of, where she's all burnt up, and now she looks like she did as their mom before this all happened. So they sort of have a little touchy moment, and they're all happy, and then she goes too, and then we pan back to the babysitter. And this movie ends on her being like, she quits. She doesn't get paid enough for this kind of bullshit, so she quits.
Yeah.
And that's the movie.
The end.
Yay!
13 Ghosts.
Yes. Good movie.
I agree.
I'm glad we watched this movie again, and we got to talk about it again. Again. Because it's just, it's a fun movie. It's good. It's, the practical effects were fabulous. There were a few weird moments, which we didn't really talk about, but a few weird sort of montages of just silent snaking through the basement.
Right.
Yeah.
When everyone's upstairs and the kids are missing, there's a weird, just kind of like the camera, just a silent patrol.
Yeah.
Of the inside basement.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was a very oddly put scene.
It is, and it would work if it was quick, like Evil Dead, where they just do the quick sort of snake around, but it goes on for a long time, and it's just sort of cuts the pace of the movie, and it's too bad because, I don't know, I just didn't think it needed it.
I think it's because the whole house is like a big maze.
Right.
And especially the basement, it's a big labyrinth, they kept getting lost.
Yes.
It's almost like the ghosts were just kind of wandering around trying to find a way upstairs. There's only one way up or down.
Right.
How the princess made up there so easy, I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, this movie has a few flaws.
Yes.
Nothing that really ruins it or takes away, besides the little slow part. But things get picked up again pretty quick.
Exactly. I agree.
I like how they kind of kept the they didn't explain it all right away. They kind of built up to it.
Right.
you assume that Cyrus is dead the entire time.
Yes.
But yeah, I enjoy this movie. I like it.
Same.
It's got Matthew Lillard. He's always good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you liked it, then what would you rate it?
3.5.
Definitely.
3.5.
I'm exactly the
This
same.
is a good, solid movie.
Yes.
Great practical effects.
Yep.
Some were a little less as good as they could be, but hey.
But overall, still really well done.
Oh, I love this.
Definitely.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I would say 3.5. The only place that it would lose like 1.5 is like the music's not as good as or sound effects aren't as good as other movies we've watched. That weird sort of snaky stuff, and then the CGI they used like for whatever, I think it was 2001. I said. Yeah. It wasn't like CGI was not great. So just if they could have used practical effects instead, it would have been just a little bit. It would have aged a little bit better.
And yet the lawyer's death was well done.
Fantastic. Really fantastic.
I think should get Ichabod's Kill the Flick.
Totally agree.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because he does it because basically he's walking out, and I think they shot vertical or horizontal.
Yes, they do. They do. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm sure the princess is walking up to him, and he sort of starts and kind of moves back a bit because because he says like nice rack or something. Doesn't he?
Yeah, he taunts her.
Yeah.
He's going to get the money.
Yes.
And when he lifts up the case, it springs open and everything starts moving.
Right.
And she's the first door opened.
Yes.
And she kind of, and he's walked to leave and got the glasses on for, I think, still.
Yeah.
And he sees her. He's like, crap.
Yes.
And he kind of, startles, he backs up a bit. And the wall shuts.
Yeah.
And he's stuck there.
Yeah, he just stands there. So we're not 100% sure what happened. Like maybe it clipped him, but then his glasses fall off.
His tie
falls off.
And the front part of him slides down.
Yes.
And you see a good shot, again, practical effects.
Yeah.
Of just the back open inside of his body.
Yes.
You see half his brain. You see just everything behind him. Mm-hmm. And that kind of slowly falls.
Yes.
And money.
Yeah,
which I'm sure they went back and grabbed. They must have.
Right. Yeah, it was great. It was a really good kill, and I wish that there were more. Whereas, like, I totally understand with like the jackal ripping apart and stuff, but I just with ghosts, I like more when they do those sort of things where you get killed by something that's not a ghost, because ghosts vary a bit about like can they touch people, can they not touch people, like sort of what are the rules? And I like more that the princess used her environment instead of something real.
They influence.
Exactly.
They're not the exact cause.
Exactly. Yeah. So I like. Yeah. So definitely Kill the Flick for me as well. So,
awesome.
Hooray! And next week we're watching 30 Days of Night. Yes. Which, because we're recording this, we've actually already watched and recorded. But, I'm excited for you guys to listen to it, I guess. I was really excited to watch the movie, and I think it was a great episode. So
we even had a surprise to us too, special guest.
Surprise!
And so we have a surprise special guest for next episode.
Yes.
And we also found out you had a horrible Twilight-a-thon. And you had to cleanse your palate with a good vampire movie.
Good vampire movie,
and we got just the one, 30 Days of Night, which is just a great, visceral vampire movie.
Yeah, savage vampire movie. I enjoyed watching it. So I'm enjoyed for you guys. I'm excited. I don't know. I'm feeling a lot of feelings for you guys to watch it. So, but for this week, thank you for joining us. This episode was brought to you by our executive producer, Ichabod. We hope you enjoyed your Horr-Gasm as much as we did. Please don't forget to rate, download, and subscribe. Also, like and follow us on Facebook at Horr-Gasm Podcast, Instagram at Horr-Gasm, Twitter at Gasm Horror, and YouTube at the Horr-Gasm Podcast. If you have a movie you'd like us to review, this is the best way to let us know. We hope to see you again next week because we have such sights to show you. Plenty of Horr-Gasms for you to experience. Bye!